Okay, everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of At the Movies. This is episode number 20. We got to number 20, you guys.
We made
Isn't that crazy?
it.
Nice.
Not that crazy. It's actually not that many episodes.
We're like a real podcast.
Today with me, almost. I mean, if we had followers.
We do have followers. Don't insult these listeners. Thank you for listening to our podcast, you amazing humans.
I'm not insulting anybody. I love all of our listeners, mainly because probably most of them are people that we know. So I love those people for sure. So today with us, we have Brandon Jones, Melissa Boudreau, and Kara Leonard. Everyone's doing well on this Tuesday. Today is March 9th. Yesterday was International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to everyone, belated. And it's also National Women's History Month.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Box Office Magazine, Box Office Pro, gave our podcast a shout out yesterday. I was lucky enough to speak on a panel for International Women's Day. And they were like, what have you done during the pandemic? Oh, you started this awesome podcast. So we probably have so many new listeners. So thank you, listeners.
I thought it was funny. I thought she was talking about your other podcast.
Yeah.
But
has
they put this
like
podcast in the show notes, so
We'll take it.
Yeah, heck yeah. No, she was talking about At the Movies.
Right on. You are also involved with another group called Women in Exhibition, which we haven't really talked very much about on this podcast. Can you tell us a little about your involvement and what the organization does?
Yeah, so I'm actually one of the founding board members. I was the secretary for a while, but I took a step back just because it was a lot. But Women in Exhibition, aka if you ever see people write WIE, so WIE, is an organization that was started in 2018. I've been there since the beginning, just gathering women in exhibition, but it's from vendors to theaters to studios. And it's really just a group which was initially started to help with networking and support and running. You know, we have Zoom happy hours, but we've started having these speaker series, which have been just fantastic throughout the pandemic because we had some in-person events planned, which didn't happen in 2020. So we decided to do these speaker series, and we have had some amazing guests. And we recently had Patty Jenkins on, and her talk was so inspirational, and hopefully we'll be able to publicly share it. We're waiting for her publicist to approve us sharing it, and we'll let you know on the podcast if that happens. We can link it in our next show. But basically it's just a group of women lifting each other up. And one of the things for me is I thought I knew a lot of people in the industry, but now I just have global relationships with women in exhibition all over the world. So from Dubai to Pakistan, I mean, it's incredible because we can have conversations about what we're doing on what side of the world, and we can all relate to each other. So it's a wonderful group. If you're interested in joining, you can reach out to me anytime or go to our website, which is just womeninexhibition.com.
That's awesome.
Kara, you should join.
I should. Yeah, definitely.
It's only $25 to join.
I mean, I want to join, but
You can join.
I don't think they'll have me.
I was on the call with Patty Jenkins, so I felt like a member. Like I felt like I was supporting.
Yeah, Brandon messaged me like, hi, and I was like, who let you in? But one thing I do want to say about Patty Jenkins was, you know, I obviously didn't know her because I don't know her, but she was such an inspirational speaker. But something that we talk about on the podcast all the time, she is so behind seeing films in a theater, and she likes a whole genre of different films, right? Like from art house films to big blockbusters like she's made herself and tent poles, but she really is a champion for the going in theater going, like cinema experienced. And just to hear her talk about it, like I was getting chills because she was so just championing the industry. It was great.
That's awesome. I mean, again, I wish I could join, but you know, I'm not quite sure if I qualify. And also, like, I basically have the same feeling of like, if anyone would, you know, I don't want to be a part of any group that would have someone like me as a member. What's that old, you know, joke? So yeah, there's no real place for me except for amongst you fine people here.
If you're the
so what's everyone?
If you're the smartest person in the room, you better find another room.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's everyone been watching recently? Any movies that would kind of go along with the theme for National Women's Month or International Women's Day?
I've been slacking on my movie going. I know I'm talking a lot on this show, so I'll stop talking after this. But I did notice a lot of us watched Coming to America 2 this weekend.
Like all of us except for Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
Which I was going to make a joke about.
it's Women's History Month. I was watching G.I. Jane and Quick and the Dead and Hard Candy, and you guys were watching Coming to America too.
I watched the Billie Eilish documentary, which I found fascinating and inspirational, and it's amazing.
Heard great things.
Yeah. So one of the things I really liked about it was they started off and they're in her parents' home. Like this little, I think it's probably a 3-bedroom house. They're all 4 living there, her brother, and her mom and her dad. And what a tight family unit they are. And then, they recorded that album basically in her brother's bedroom, and they would just be inspired by it. But every time they went home, it was to this same house. And literally she's taking off like a rocket ship, but at the same time, like how grounded the family is. And you could really tell, like, it wasn't about the money and the fame. It was literally about their family and being together and supporting her. And, like she goes and drives for the first time to her friend's house, and her mom didn't see her leave, and her mom was upset that she didn't see her pull out of the driveway on her maiden voyage. It was really cool. And I'm I like Billie Eilish's music, but I'm not a huge fan. And then she goes and sweeps the Grammys. But to connect it to this show, she performs the song for the next Bond movie, No Time to Die.
I know, and it's so good. It's so good.
All comes back around to being at the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I did watch that. That was great.
I want to see that. I want to see that. Absolutely. I want to watch.
Like, forget how like young she is. Like when you say like she's a little kid if she just learned how to drive.
Yeah, they started out like she released a song on SoundCloud when she was 13, and then she gets picked up and they're recording this album, and they literally show her 17th birthday, and then all the stuff that happens, and then it comes around and it's literally closes out. They're celebrating her 18th birthday, and the Grammys are going on kind of in a near time frame, not on top of each other technically, but it's literally a year. All this stuff happens, and then she's winning. She basically sweeps the Grammys, and it was incredible. They show her blowing out the birthday candles.
It's crazy. And like, kudos to the filmmaker that basically knew going into this, like, no, this girl has talent to the point where we need to start documenting it now before she blows up.
It's interesting. It's clearly her brother Phineas, who basically sets a camera down on a table, like in the room, wherever they are, and they're recording. Sometimes you can see over, like he has 2 iPhones. So one will be recording video and then they're just talking and somebody else will be on the phone. It's very, very behind the scenes. And it's not like they shot it with a camera crew.
Right.
They literally, it's at home footage. So,
well, it's on my list. It's definitely one I need to watch.
Yes, I think it's a great example of somebody who's really taken on some empowerment.
You know, a film that I've had on my list for a really long time and I think is relevant to this topic, but I haven't seen it, and I wonder if you all have, is Molly's Game.
Love it.
It's been on my list for years. It's been out for like 3 years and I still haven't watched it.
That was great. Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut, wasn't it?
I don't know if he directed it. I'm sure we can on the fly produce that. But
keep talking.
Jessica Chastain. It's a great movie. Again, like, I love movies also that are built around actual events, even if they're romanticized and they're taken a little bit out of context. But when they're inspired by somebody's life, I love Moneyball. I love
Me too.
The Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. I love, even though that's not a movie about a person, but and Molly's Game, I mean, that's about those are real life events. So
yeah, me too. Same.
go watch. That's your homework this week.
Yes, I will watch it and report back on the next show.
Please do. It's a great.
Yes, that was Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut. That was the first film he had directed. Clearly, he's written several others and some very wildly successful TV shows. But Molly's Game was his directorial debut, and then he went on to direct The Trial of the Chicago 7. That was a more recent title. Which
we may hear some Academy Award nominations, and certainly was nominated for Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you all seen Trial of Chicago 7?
Not yet. It's on my list.
It's really good.
Well, I hope so.
And okay, can we do a quick Golden Globe check-in since we're on this? And Sacha Baron Cohen?
Absolutely.
Did y'all see his speech when he won his Golden Globe?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch. I was watching Quick on the Dead.
I went to bed early. Missed it.
What'd you think, Kara?
I love him. Like, I'm glad he's getting recognition. Like, I mean, for years he was just Borat, and that's all kind of anyone saw, which even in itself, that's phenomenal acting, right? So for him to get kind of accolades for that and Chicago 7, I think is great.
Which is where I think that he's underrated, that he can go in and be in Talladega Nights, and he can be in The Trial of Chicago 7 and Borat.
And don't forget, he was this close to being Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
He could have done it.
Mm-hmm. Like, there was makeup tests, and apparently people were like, he basically was Freddie Mercury. And I think they went with Rami Malek. And again, maybe this was even a different production, because I think that there was competing Queen movies that were being produced at the time. And Bohemian Rhapsody just edged them out. But I think I've read something that they still may want to make a different version of the Queen story. Because there can be more than one movie out there.
There definitely can be more than one movie.
And yeah, I would definitely watch him as Freddie Mercury. I think he would knock it out of the park.
He's super talented. Trial of Chicago 7, he's great in that. That character he plays is...
Yeah, he's Abby Kaufman in Chicago 7, and he nails it. I mean, if you've ever seen an Abby Kaufman speech, he nails it.
That dude was nuts mentally.
So how'd you guys feel about
all
of the precautions they took at the Golden Globes? Like, was it strange? I didn't watch. I basically tuned in the day after and watched most of the highlights. But what was it like watching a very new presentation of the Golden Globes, having some people be there, some people remoting in? Any takes on that?
I thought it was, personally, I thought it was fine. I just feel like it's the world that we're it wasn't shocking. It wasn't weird. It was just felt normal. And the one thing I really liked about it is everyone was with their family, and their dogs were there and their kids were there. And it kind of gave you a little peek behind the curtain into their lives. I thought that was actually very interesting, and I enjoyed it. It made me feel like we're in this together type of situation. So, obviously it was different. It was weird, and they had their own technical issues, which made me feel better just about every technical issue I've had over the past year, because if the Golden Globes can have technical issues, then we all get a pass. So I was okay with it. Obviously, yes, it was different, but I thought it was nice to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Kara?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see the full range of how people handled it at home. You had the full range of Jason Sudeikis in a hoodie to people still in full dress and makeup. How far do you take the pomp and circumstance if you're at home,
And he was in more than just a hoodie. He was he was fully baked.
Loved it.
And that's,
Why not?
I'm okay with that. I'm not judging. Go for it, dude, whatever.
Has anyone watched Ted Lasso?
Love it.
I haven't seen it. It's only on Apple TV, right?
It's exactly what the world needs right now.
I've heard so many good things. All right, so we're gonna have to watch that, but I haven't watched it either. But I did see that live, and he was so high. It was we were like on Twitter, like just reading the crazy backlash, my husband and I.
He is such I've met him once, super nice, super engaging. I mean, like, I'm so happy for him. And he really is. Ted Lasso, his character's from Kansas and he's from Kansas City. So he brings a lot of that. The hoodie he's wearing is actually the hoodie from his sister's dance club in New York. So, yeah. I mean, he actually brings a lot of heart to everything he does. Going back to the Golden Globes and how it was presented, I have a couple sides to this story that I want to talk about. One, I agree with you. Like, peeling the curtain back and being in somebody's home or their den or their kitchen was interesting. It made it personal rather than just everybody in the same environment. We've all got to show up with our best on, and it's all this designer stuff, and kind of almost takes away from the moment. It was not glitzy and glamorous. And I thought that everybody stayed on schedule really well. Like, their speeches weren't that long, and it didn't feel, you're right, because we're so used to this Zoom environment, it didn't feel out of context. Now, I don't think it ever replaces being together in person, and I hope this isn't the new normal. However, I think that there will be a split, that people will say whether or not, hey, I don't really, if they live in New York or they live in Miami or Idaho or wherever, hey, I don't want to be there. I'm not going to make the effort to come to the Oscars or the Golden Globes or whatever, but I'm happy to be there virtually. And it'll be interesting to see how that carries forward in the promotion of movies, but also in the awards, during the awards season. Again, I would love everybody to come back and be in theaters and together, but that just may not be the case moving forward all the time. I don't think we can sit here and say from now on it will be everybody in the same room. I bet there's going to be people who opt out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Did you see that Bill Murray made it on his Zoom for his nomination at the Globes? Yes. Did you see him? Yeah. I mean, Bill Murray's not going to show up to the Golden Globes, so I mean, it was nice to see him on his Zoom with his Hawaiian shirt and his martini. I think you're right.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It'll be interesting to see if the awards groups, the Hollywood Foreign Press or the Academy, will allow that, or will they force them to be in person? I think this also goes for, when you go to the movie theater, can I just schedule a Zoom with, if I was a filmmaker, I would be like, how many movie theaters can I go say thank you to, or do a Q&A or a quick talk back and be in the theaters? I think we can leverage this technology to make the filmmakers more accessible, and the talent, you don't just have to be in the theater physically, you can be virtually there. And I would go see a movie if the director was going to come on right afterwards and do a quick talk back. That would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of which, our good friend Liam Neeson recently did just that. Well, not just that. But yeah, after New York finally opened up their theater market, which has been doing very, very well. Liam Neeson stopped by a local New York theater to thank the audience for coming and watching his film, The Marksman, which is a really nice added touch that I think is going to become a component of moviegoing moving forward. I do think that the eventizing of the moviegoing experience is only going to get grander after the floodgates open and we're back to quote unquote normal. But I do think there will be a new normal amongst moviegoers. And I do think that it won't just be the content that will bring people out. It will be the experience and how that audience can uniquely interact with that experience and where they go to get that experience. Because I think certain exhibitors will be able to offer unique experiences that another competing exhibitor won't be able to offer. So I think that will be part of the new normal, would be how can we actually interact with our audience when it used to be a very one-sided presentation.
I think the studios and filmmakers and actors need to embrace this philosophy that, and there certainly can be content in home and out of home, and they can live together. But if you really want your movie seen in a movie theater because that's the experience and the way you built the movie to be shown, then we're going to have to offer something to that experience that I can't get sitting in my living room. And the theaters themselves are going to have to do more work to make their movie theater a better place, but it's going to be a collective effort. And I hope we start seeing that in a big way this summer.
I hope so too. So yeah, speaking of the New York market, I realized that like their numbers are up by what percent was it? Like 614%. Let me bring up this article real quick.
I mean, a lot of people went to the movies this weekend in New York, and it was their first weekend open, and they're bringing Tenet back. They're bringing, you know, New York has been closed, what, 10 months? 11? 10, 11? Did they open for a little bit and then okay, so 11 months they've been closed, and so they're bringing back films. I saw that they're going to re-release Avatar in New York. Like, it's, people are ready to get out. And if anything, Tom and Jerry showed us that last weekend, and this weekend, I mean, the light, we keep saying the light is at the end of the tunnel, but I think it's really here. And in the next couple months, that pent-up demand for moviegoing I think it's going to explode, and I'm so excited.
Right. So just looking at my other news articles here, anything else that we need to talk about? We talked about Liam Neeson.
Yeah, well, Scott's digging into some of those things. We should be hearing some news about California this week in movie theaters. I know they announced some venues could be open, sporting events, theme parks, outdoor venues by April 1st to start opening those. And then some counties are already opening movie theaters, but you know, ultimately it's going to come down to where does LA fall in this. But I think it's great that studios have started to solidify their summer calendars, their summer release calendars, and you've got A Quiet Place moving back into May around Memorial Weekend. You have Fast and Furious, which moved its date to a great date. I love where they moved that movie to. And so the summer is going to be big. I'm excited for it. And as we are talking to more and more exhibitors, I can share that they're taking this moment very seriously. You know, we can check the box on cleanliness and sanitization that is being done in theaters, at least the exhibitors we talk to. But the other part about it, really honing in on the experience of going to the movies and what they offer individually. I don't think it can be stressed enough to support local movie theaters and everything they're doing to kind of tune up the experience. So you're going to get a lot when you go for your $9, $10, $11, $12 movie ticket. You're going to get a lot of value for that when you decide to go back to the movies.
Well, and like the shop small movement, right? Like, reminder, even now during this pandemic, everyone's shop small, stay local, support your communities. I think that's just such a big thing that we all need to be thinking about with these local theaters, that we should be supporting them, seeing whatever content that they may have now, if we feel comfortable, and continuing to support as much as you can, because the theaters have really, out of all industries, have really taken one of the largest hits out of all industries, because yes, restaurants too, but they were still allowed to do carry out. I mean, most theaters weren't even doing that. So they really need everyone's support. So if you're listening and you feel comfortable, obviously go see a movie.
What's everyone most excited for that's coming up? Is it still Top Gun for you, Brandon?
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Sure. I saw Quiet Place 2 last year.
Me too. It was like a year ago last week. Yeah.
So I saw that, and I'll go back to see it again. It's great. And I'm excited to see Ghostbusters. I'm excited to see Venom. Top Gun, Conjuring, Devil Made Me Do It, Spiral. I want to see that. Carrie, are you excited about that?
Mhm.
The
I'm
Chris
very
Rock
excited
take
about
on
that.
Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
really
he would
excited for
only
Movie.
sign on to do that if it were good, right? Like he doesn't have a reason to do that unless it's something cool.
Right.
Hope not. Yeah, and one of the new titles that's coming out actually quite recently that I'm really excited for is Nobody.
Nobody.
Like, I'm looking forward to seeing Odenkirk kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's always pegged as the weak guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing him break out of that
He's
role.
perfect for this.
I
That
love
should be a lot of fun.
326 is when that comes out. So I really love him. So yeah, I'd like to see that too. I mean, I just was looking at the release schedule and I'm like, oh my gosh, some of these movies didn't play. I don't know if anyone else, I'm like, oh, I just saw Jungle Cruise. I was like, wait, but that was 2 years. Nope. It never ended up coming out. Like
Mhm.
it is interesting to look at the release schedule. And I would love to hear what you guys think. I think there's going to be more moving around for position, not because they're afraid people aren't going to come, but I think everyone's going to start positioning their films and it's going to be really interesting for the rest of this year.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of movement also. What do you guys, is there something you're looking forward to about being in a movie theater? I know you guys have, I mean, we've gone, but is there something that you really just miss about that experience beyond the movie itself?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we've talked to great length about why watching movies at home is vastly different than watching movies in a movie theater. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that like you do feel like you're seeing something brand new and fresh when it's in a movie theater. But I do think the thing that I'm most excited for is I do think that the pandemic has permanently changed the landscape of how we're going to watch content from now on. And I do think that is, while intimidating for some, like it's incredibly exciting for me because I do see the opportunity where it's like, no, we got to step up our game to keep people coming back. And this is where you're going to have more of a unique experience, not just, having the audience experience where you get to watch it with a bunch of strangers, but getting to interact with those people and the content that you're watching and even possibly a little bit more is what's going to be ultimately become the movie going experience. I think a really great example of someone who does that now is Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith basically found out his own formula is like, I've got a really small niche audience that will come and see my stuff. It doesn't need to have a huge national release where it could potentially lose money. I'm just going to tour around with my film and talk to my fans and create the environment that I want to show my movie in. And I think that's brilliant. And he's making a killing doing it. I'm not sure exactly how much his last film did, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, but I know that like he toured around with that thing for a while. And all of his fans who have been fans of his since Clerks will come out and watch him basically perform for an hour or so, and then they watch the movie. Like that's what I think the new movie going experience will have to be, is you're going to have to give somebody something a little bit more than just content to watch.
$4.5 million is what it did. So here's what I miss most about going to the movies. And I think you'll find this as you start going back, is that feeling of anticipation before you sit down. You buy your ticket, you go to the movie, you're getting into the lobby, you're getting your concessions, you're sitting in your seat. Like, I know it takes a little bit of effort, but the anticipation of that screen coming down and going dark and the sound coming up, it's really a cool feeling. And then afterwards, the feeling that movie that you just watched bring out of you, the feeling of that I feel empowered or inspired or a little scared or I was trying to figure this out and there was suspense, that carries over again, versus most of the time when I'm watching a movie on TV, it's like, oh, did you watch Coming to America? Like 3 days later, somebody in my house will ask me, like, yeah. And then you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you that feeling of anticipation and the feelings that you have after you leave the theater, it's different. And I'm excited for people to re-engage with that, because that will build some really positive momentum to go back to the theater again, get those endorphins firing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to weigh in here because I just need a break. I need a break from my email. I need a break from my phone. I need a break from Zoom. I just want to go somewhere and actually just forget about everything and be immersed in a story. Like I can't do it at home. It's not possible. I try to like keep my phone away from me, but then I'm distracted because something like there's a noise. Oh, I want a snack. I'm going to get up. Oh, pause it. This, that. Like I need the escape right now more than anything. I just want to like relax, eat my popcorn, and be taken away by a story.
What about you, Kara?
Yeah, I mean, same with before and after, Brandon. I mean, the first green screen of the first trailer is always like the best feeling. You know, when you first see the first screen, you're like, okay, here we go. And then after too, I mean, some of my best kind of movie going experiences are the ones where you stand in the parking lot with your friends for like an hour after talking about it. And now it's like I finish a movie, I'm like, I don't know if anyone's seen this yet.
Right.
You know, no one's going to talk to me right now about this movie that I just watched. And 3 days later, you don't remember the thing that you want to talk, right after. So, I mean, I think.
Here's my right after coming to America story. Go on YouTube and Google Rick Ross's house. Because that house is the largest single family home in the state of Georgia, and it's where they filmed Coming to America. The place is insane. Like, I had more fun watching the house guests with Rick Ross. The place is incredible. So that's Zamunda. That's the Palace of Zamunda. It's Rick Ross's palatial 250 acre estate.
I had no idea.
Yep, that's what I did after the movie. Found out that was his house and YouTubed it. I'm the ultimate stay-at-home moviegoer right now.
Yeah, aren't we all? Well, I mean, not all of us, because apparently New York has been killing it within their first few days of being reopened. So kudos to New York and all of the movie-going fans out there for, taking advantage of the opportunity to go out and support not only the local theaters in your community, but the movies that you want to see, the ones that you've been dying to see. Thank you. We all thank you.
Greatest city in the world.
Next to Dallas.
Oh boy.
Anyone got anything else? Any last minute final thoughts before we tune out? I might grab one item out of my bucket.
All right, you grab one item, and then
I know that we were.
I have a thought, or do you want to do an item?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We can probably.
Okay, while you're digging, I'm gonna give two thoughts. As we are growing our podcast audience, please stay tuned over the next couple weeks. We will be sharing several major announcements of things that we have been working on behind the scenes. And I hope that you guys will participate and support this group, because they've done some really amazing work, and to support the industry and exhibition and movie going in itself. So we also have some other announcements coming from the company. So we look forward to sharing those when the moment is right.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, when are we gonna be able to talk about this?
Soon. Like
we mention it every episode.
3 weeks. I'm sure everybody's on their toes.
Yes.
While Scott is still digging.
Okay, no, I've got a few things. I got a big bucket here.
I wish there was really popcorn in it, because if you're listening, Scott has a giant popcorn bucket of movie things.
By the way, I think I have a new favorite movie candy.
What? You can't change.
Is it chocolate chip cookies?
No, it's chocolate covered pretzels.
Kind of like popcorn, crunchy.
I gave up chocolate chip cookies for Lent, so now I've just shifted to chocolate covered pretzels.
So I cannot eat chocolate covered pretzels without thinking about that scene from Mallrats. Anyone know what I'm talking about?
No, but I've seen that movie literally 100 times.
Like, that's what Jason Lee fed to Michael Rooker's character when he stink palmed him. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay.
No,
If you don't know
revisit
what I'm talking about, go watch Mallrats and
man, we got a lot of movie going to watch this
stink
week.
palm scene.
Mallrats. We've got the
Molly's
Billie Eilish.
Game, Billie Eilish.
Molly's Game.
I want to go to a movie though. I'm gonna try to go this weekend. I really am. I know I keep saying it, but I really am gonna try.
What do you want to see? The Marksman?
Kind of. Wait, what's the STX film? I can't pronounce it. It's like this long and starts with an M.
Oh, the Mauritanian?
The Martinian.
Mauritanian.
I want to see that.
Is that even how you pronounce it? I think that's how it's spelled. I'm sounding it out phonetically.
I'm really bad at pronunciation.
Yeah. Did you pronounce that right?
Yeah.
All right. My last few items here
I
before
feel
we
like Melissa's. We have her. She's literally backed into a corner over there.
I am. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Don't let
I
anyone
love it.
to our podcast. This is a close call.
All right, we've derailed
Last
Scott
little
long
items here
enough.
before we go out.
Oh, hurry up, Scott, and take us home.
These are similar items. So this is something that came out for Dr. Sleep, which was my
that's
room
cool.
237 keychain.
Nice.
But what was funny was this reminded me of something else that I had gotten a long time ago when I worked at the very first theater I worked at in my hometown of Cadillac, Michigan. And it was an earlier title, but same concept, another little keychain, but it was for the movie Identity.
Oh, cool.
The one where, John Cusack, Amanda Peet, Ray Liotta, big cast in that one. But they all meet at that hotel and they all start dying one by one.
Man, I feel like I need to revisit that too.
That was another good one.
Watch list.
Had that
We
little
should
twist.
we should have a running watch list on here.
We should. I mean, do you know how big that would be?
How
Like,
big would it be, Scott?
We might as well just include a link to IMDb.
Or Letterboxd.
Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Let's include the link to Letterboxd and everybody can. We do want to
Follow
encourage
us.
people to
Find us on Letterboxd, friends.
go to Letterboxd. We should plug them a little bit. Those guys are doing great work. They're really into
They're
movies.
awesome.
So visit Letterboxd, log your movies, create an account.
I mean, I'll bring up my last ones right now. We can just discuss that. This will be what will take us home. So
Take us home.
We'll bookend it with Letterboxd. So the last few things that I watched. Let's see. Let me bring up my account.
I'm probably gonna have to log a film while we do this.
Again, my last 4 that I watched were Quick and the Dead, Army of Darkness. I was in a little bit of a Sam Raimi mood, and that moved into Bubba Hotep, which I would just transitioned from Bruce Campbell. And then we were talking randomly on a call one day, and Patrick Wilson came up, and I was like, I want to watch Hard Candy, because I love that movie. Like he's done a lot of stuff, but like I think that's my favorite movie that he's done. Whenever someone says Patrick Wilson, I think of that movie. Those are my last 4 watch. What do you guys got?
Oh, I'm not going to look at mine because I already told you what I watched, but are we talking about that or are we wrapping up? Because I just wanted to say something if we were wrapping up.
Well, then let's wrap up. Apparently Melissa wants to get out of here.
It's not that I want to get out of here.
Over with yet? She's like, I got other calls. People are waiting on me.
I do have other calls. No, I just wanted to say, don't forget to review us. But if there's something you want us to talk about or that piques your interest or you want to hear more about, please let us know. Please, please, please. You can put that in Apple Podcasts review. And if you think the show is terrible, please put that in there too, but still give us 5 stars. But no, really, let us know how we can better provide you value. But like Brandon said, in the next couple of weeks, we have some really big announcements. And then I think we're going to have so much to talk about. Plus, with all the releases coming out, the podcast is only going to get better. So thank you for being here and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. We'll see.
All right. I guess we will wrap it up there. Until next time. Yeah. As Brandon said, we will see you at the movies.